How many ideas have you quietly killed before they ever had a chance to exist? Not because they were bad ideas, not because you lacked talent, but because you never began. Most lives aren't ruined by failure, they're ruined by hesitation. Oscar Wilde understood this long before self-help books, productivity systems, or motivational slogans existed. He saw something uncomfortable about human nature. We are often more afraid of starting than of failing. Wilde lived in a world obsessed with appearances. Victorian society prized reputation, restraint, and approval. And yet, Wilde insisted that the real danger wasn't criticism, it was self-consciousness. He believed that most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they imagine an audience before they act. Before you write the first line, you imagine the judgment. Before you speak, you imagine the reaction. Before you begin, you imagine the outcome. And that imagined future becomes heavier than the present moment. Wilde once suggested that the greatest limitation we impose on ourselves is the fear of being seen honestly, not seen succeeding, not seen failing, seen beginning. Because beginning reveals something fragile. It exposes effort, it shows uncertainty, it admits that you don't yet know who you'll become. So instead, many people choose a safer performance. They remain thinkers instead of doers, planners instead of starters, observers instead of participants. They rehearse their lives internally where nothing can go wrong. But Wilde saw this as a quiet tragedy. To him, self-consciousness was not awareness, it was paralysis. The moment you become overly aware of how you appear, you lose access to who you are. Creativity dries up, action stalls, life becomes a performance designed to avoid embarrassment. That is why Wilde valued spontaneity, risk, and even foolishness, not because they guaranteed success, but because they returned you to yourself. He understood that the first step is always clumsy. The first attempt is always imperfect. And that is not a flaw, it is the cost of entry. What stops most people is not the difficulty of the work, but the discomfort of being unfinished. Wilde's insight was simple and deeply unsettling. You don't become yourself by waiting until you're ready. You become yourself by starting while you're still unsure. The fear you feel is not a warning, it's a threshold. And thresholds are meant to be crossed. You don't need confidence to begin. Confidence comes later. You don't need certainty. That arrives after action. All that's required is the willingness to be seen in the act of becoming. So if you've been waiting for permission, clarity, or courage, understand this. Nothing changes until something begins. And beginning has never been comfortable, but it has always been necessary.